Ever wonder why nobody ever talks about how to hire A players at scale? Well, here's the thing. Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and the first ever investor in Facebook, said the biggest businesses in the world are built off the back of secrets. And quite frankly, nobody has a scalable hiring system that allows them to hire A players at will. However, I do. And in this video, I'm going to reveal our exclusive hiring secret that we've used to build a multiple seven-figure team in less than 2 years. Think about this. If you have 10 people on a team and they each have 10 units of energy, you would expect that team to produce 100 units of output. And an average team will probably do just that. And a worse off team will probably do maybe 60 to 70 units of output. However, a great team will take the same input and get a non-linear outcome. The results won't be 100 units of output. The results will be 300 units of output. You see, no matter where you're going, great teams are going to get you there multiples faster than average teams. And great teams are made up of A players. And guess what? A players love to work with A players. This is how you build great teams. And here is the best way I found to hire A players at scale. You have to treat it like client acquisition. When you acquire clients, everybody knows that you need a great offer, you need great results, you need to prove to the market why you're better and different than everybody else in the market. You need great sales call, you need great pricing, etc. And you need to apply these same ideas to your hiring. You see, A players are in demand. Everyone wants them just like you. So they're not short of options. So the question you need to ask yourself when you're building out your hiring funnel is, why would an A player come and work for you? And to answer this, you need to create what's called a hiring VSL, which covers a great offer that you create for the role. You need to go through your company vision, right? Why would someone want to spend a part of their life or their whole life working for your company? You want to go through results that your clients are getting, prove that you're actually doing what you're saying. You want to go through, if you can, you want to show other people on your team who are succeeding in the exact same role that you're hiring for. For example, I recently did this. One of our account managers said to me the other day, he was like, dude, just the other day, he was able to buy a car cash and he didn't even have to have second thoughts about it. He said, I've never been able to do this before. This was for an account manager, one of our account managers. And so in my next hiring round, I told new candidates about that story. And that was then able to obviously attract more higher quality people to the company because they could see other people succeeding in the exact role that they were being hired for. And the other topic you want to discuss in your hiring VSL is of course as well, extremely attractive compensation. Now this hiring VSL has one single goal, which is to get the candidate to apply for the position. Very similar to how you build a client VSL to get clients to book in a call with you. The outcome of the hiring VSL is to get the candidate to apply for the role that you're advertising. Now, once you've created this hiring VSL, you then need to create an extremely attractive job post. Or in other words, the job post is an ad for the role. And the ad, you want to advertise this everywhere. If you're interested in a job post that I created for one of our account manager roles, comment the word job post right below in the comment section of the video and I'll send it over to you so you can see for reference how I structure the ad for our roles. And then once you've created this ad for the role that you're advertising for, you want to then proceed to place it in every area that you can. I always get asked, Kai, where's the best place to hire X, right? Where's the best place to hire closers? Where's the best place to hire account managers? And I'm telling you right now, there is not one gold mine to hire, account managers or to hire closers or whatever it might be. Instead, you just want to make a really, really solid ad. Again, comment the word job post down below to see that type of ads that we run. You want to create a solid ad and then you want to post that in every area that you can, every location that you can. For example, Upwork, niche related Facebook groups, your network, your audience, if you have an audience on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, wherever it might be. You also want to give that ad to your current team and get those guys to post it out to their network as well. Because guess what? Who knows your company culture the best? It's your current team. So who's going to typically, in theory, get you the best quality applicants? It's going to be your current team. And then once you start to post that ad out to all of these different areas every single week, I would recommend to repost and repost and repost. Obviously, you'll be driving all of the traffic to the hiring VSL. At that point, you're going to get an influx of applications coming through every week. And if you've structured your ad and the hiring VSL correctly, you'll see that those applicants that you're getting are going to be extremely high A players. And obviously within the applications, you want to filter down to the top 5 to 10% of applicants that come through, and you want to push those guys to an interview. Now, as for the interviews themselves, here's my formula for interviewing. You see, A players and B players both produce what they believe to be possible. And the difference lies, however, in what they believe to be possible. And it's that distinction that separates an A player from a B player. You see, there's 3 laws in the process of achievement. Number 1 is there are always obstacles. Number 2, only those who find a way to overcome the obstacles reach their goal. And number 3, there's always always a solution. And you see, each one of those laws involves dealing with obstacles, and it's steered by a person's attitude towards those obstacles. And you see, A players, they have attitude that work in alignment with the laws, whereas a B player has attitudes that are contrary to the laws. For example, B players are always insistent that obstacles cannot be overcome, that, oh, I can't do that because of this, or whatever it might be. Whereas an A player is completely flipped. They say, oh, that's no problem, I can handle that. Yeah, I got it, you don't need to worry about it. Yeah, I can do this on my own, like whatever it is. But again, it's the same obstacle, it's the same situation, but it's a person's outlook, it's a person's attitude that changes how they perform the task. And so needless to say, the interview should always be centered around defining a candidate's attitude, because that's going to determine whether they are an A player or a B player. And to define this on your interviews, instead of asking questions like, why should I hire you? Or how are you different from every other candidate? You don't want to ask questions like that, because that's always going to result in a subjective, ego-inflated answer from the candidate. Instead, you want to change the line of questioning to be centered around a candidate's experience, and more specifically, centered around specific situations that the candidate has been in the past, and looking into how they dealt with those situations. Now, just before I go into giving you some example questions to be using in your interviews, you want to be careful of not trying to help the candidate give the right answer. For example, you never want to ask, how did you successfully overcome XYZ? Why? Because there you're assuming that they successfully overcame XYZ. Instead, you just want to ask, what happened with XYZ? You see how in that second question, I didn't assume anything, I didn't help them out, I didn't guide them to answer in this way or answer in that way. I left it extremely broad, and I just let them take the stage, and I'm just going to let them tell me exactly what they did with XYZ, as opposed to, again, me kind of telling them, how did you successfully deal with it? And so with that being said, let me give you 3 examples that I currently use on all of my interviews. Number 1 is, tell me about a specific time where you brought on a new account which you had to scale, but you lacked direction. You see how there, where I'm asking that question, I'm not saying that they did scale it, I said that they had to scale it. I'm not saying that you were able to get, the desired outcome or anything like that. I'm just keeping it extremely broad. Tell me about a time you had to scale an account, but you had no direction. So you see there as well, going back to the idea of the obstacles I was talking about before, I'm providing an obstacle, which is they lack direction. So again, a B player is going to look at that and they're going to tell me, I lack direction. So, because I didn't really know what I needed to do or whatever, I went and spoke to my boss and I tried to get him to tell me like more about it, or I tried to get her to, give me some more insight on what she actually wanted me to do, whatever it is, right? They're going to go on some like, oh, it's excuses. That's why they didn't scale the account. Whereas an A player, they're going to say, oh, look, I didn't have the specific direction, but I knew that they wanted to scale. I knew that they wanted to increase revenue from 100 to 400K a month. And so whilst I didn't have specific direction, I knew the ultimate outcome. So what I did was XYZ, and they're going to handle that in a different way. And again, they're going to tell you exactly what they did, because you've not guided them in one way or another. You've not assumed anything. Another example might be, tell me about a specific time when you were on a sales call and a prospect told you they had no money. Again, I'm not assuming that they closed the call. I'm not saying, hey, tell me about a time you closed the deal when the prospect told you they didn't have any money. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, hey, tell me about a time when the prospect told you they had no money. And then I'm going to leave that up to the candidate to let them tell me what did they do. A B player is going to tell you, I quickly ended the call so I didn't waste any more time and I moved on to the next call. Whereas an A player said, look, yeah, typically they're going to tell me that they don't have any money, but at the end of the day, if I know I can show them that this solution is worth $100,000, I know that I'm going to be able to go and get that person to go to their family, go wherever, to get $5,000 to pay for it. I just needed to make sure that I really prove the value of the product. Something like that. Again, it depends on the obstacle. Obviously, in that case was the lack of money, and a B player is going to use the obstacle as an excuse as to why they didn't deliver the outcome, whereas an A player is going to use the obstacle as a stepping stone to get to the outcome. Or another example might be, tell me about a specific time where a client wanted a refund because they had the completely wrong expectations coming into the process. Again, not assuming anything. And a B player, what are they going to do? Well, obviously the obstacle in this case is that they wanted a refund, and a B player is probably going to say something like, yeah, I gave them the refund and then I went and spoke to the sales team to change the expectations when they're closing new clients. Whereas an A player is going to use that situation to turn it around and not actually give the refund or whatever it might be. Whereas an A player is probably going to do quite literally the complete opposite. So there's like 3 example questions. Obviously one was typically for an account manager type role. The second question was for a closer role. And then the third question is probably for an account manager or like a CSM type role. And notice how in each of the questions, I was always using the word, tell me about a specific time when. You see, the only person who can give you the specific details on actions that they took is somebody who actually did those actions. If you're trying to lie and say, hey, yeah, I did XYZ, you're not going to be able to go into details because there is no detail. You can't lie on the spot like that. And so that's why you always want to lean on specific details, because again, the only people who are actually going to be able to give you those details are the ones who actually did that thing. Now, just as a quick side note, a lot of what I just mentioned there is from the book MBA MBI. I learned a lot from that book. And if you want to go deeper on questioning and how to structure questioning in your interviewing process, I highly recommend it. Now, before you officially make any hires, you want to make sure that you set the expectations and the reality of the role extremely clear before you bring somebody on board. This is going to massively help with your attrition, and it's also going to massively help when it comes to ramping up your new team members. And on the flip side, if you fail to set the correct expectations coming into the role, your onboarding and ramp is going to break. The onboarding and ramping process within reason should reinforce what you've already spoken about with the candidate rather than presenting new ideas to them. You see, where most people go wrong is they try and hype up a role so much on the front end, and they kind of err on the side of lying a little bit, saying that it's this and it's that and it's whatever. And then when that candidate inevitably comes on because the role sounds so amazing, they get on the inside and the candidate realize, oh, actually this is not what I was sold whatsoever. And then obviously at that point, that's when the candidate's going to leave. And so instead you want to set correct expectations. Sure, you might lose a couple people on the front end because they don't align with the expectations, but guess what? It's better losing them on the front end than it is to bring them on board and then have to lose them a month into the process after you spent a month trying to ramp them. Now, on the topic of onboarding, you have to make sure as the founder or the leader, when you bring on a new hire, you pour into them, you give them everything that they possibly would need to succeed. Your job as a founder or as a leader is to serve your team. I literally, word for word, tell my team this almost on a daily basis. I tell them, hey guys, my job is to serve you. Whatever you need to let me know. And when I bring on a new hire, I make sure that I make that clear. Any questions that they have, you need to come to me. Anything you need to come to me. And I also build out, and this is very important, I build out what I call a playbook for each position that I'm hiring for. And within that playbook has quite literally everything that they need from end to end. Typically it's a Google Doc and there's a bunch of trainings. Usually there's probably about maybe 10 to 15 hours worth of trainings. It's very, very, very in depth. And I actually dedicate the first week of any new hire that we bring on board. I dedicate the first week to just them going through and consuming the content that's on their respective playbook. And as a quick side note, this actually allows you to know whether or not the candidate is the problem or whether they just lack the necessary skills to fulfill the job role. Because if you give them quite literally everything that they need and they still fail, well then you can be confident that they're just the wrong person for the role. But how do you know if they're the wrong person for the role if you don't give them everything that they need? Most of the time, I'll tell you this from just working with over 100 clients at the moment, most of the time, our clients fail at hiring not because they hire the wrong people, it's because they don't provide everything required to the new hire for them to actually succeed. And finally, if you're at 100K a month plus, your entire day, again, as a founder or as a leader, should be on hiring and leading your team. That's it. That is literally all I do now. I very rarely interact with our clients, and rather what I focus on is our team who interact with the clients. I focus on the team who close the clients. I focus on the team who leads our marketing, etc. And as I say, as a leader at 100K a month plus, your entire focus from 100K to $1 million a month should just be on hiring the best people you can, building the best teams that you can, and making sure that those teams are being led in the best possible way. And obviously leading is a whole nother concept. So if you want me to do another video on that, comment below, let me know, happy to do it. So that's all I got for you. If you found value in this video, make sure you subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.